Hello, hello, and welcome to Kurt's Movement Academy, where you learn how to move right. Okay, so today we're going to learn the foundational principle for good movement. So, what makes a movement good? And call no movement good other than the movement of God the Father in heaven, right? There's no movements below that which are good. So ultimately, you're gonna want to be looking for God with the part of yourself that you want to be moving well, right? Because that which is God in that movement is good. So just even if you want to figure out how to do good movement, you want to look for that first and then copy it. At the very least, just so that we know what we're talking about. Like when I say like do something correctly, like what am I talking about there with like correctly? Good, goodly, right? So the first thing that you do, like if you want to be like move athletically, right? You want to move the right way at the right time so that it impresses people. Like, oh, there comes the ball, or like, oh, I did the dance move. I did the crunk, or the what is it that people do? I don't. What are they doing? Anyway, so you're looking for that, right? With every part of with all of your being. And I think that's been called nepsis, or like that's watchfulness. So instead of, since like later on we might be focusing on movement, but first you have to focus on watchfulness. So it's best to like use the movement to generate watchfulness, because then later you'll use watchfulness to like help the movement. Like what you see will help the movement. But if you can't see, you can do movement to help the seeing first. So that takes away the goal. Like the movement is always going to be concerned with like an object going from here to there, or to get into a particular position or whatever. Like that's the concern with the movement. And then there's the concern with the watchfulness, which is the mindfulness. So there's and you'll notice you can look out or feel out into space in every direction from everywhere you are. And so you'll simultaneously see that your being is also looking. So like wherever you are, you can also start looking from, in that sense of like you can radiate out from your body, like your consciousness. You can feel around your hand. So you can start to feel, I feel my head as an object. As an object, I can also use that object to feel. So a good like level of like watchfulness or whatever is to like you feel your body as an object, right? Then have that object also be looking. And so how does that object look? If the object feels. And so as the looking and the feeling become one, then you should feel as if you're in water, about that same level of unity with all things is so you can do movement patterns to look, like if I wanted to look with my hips more, I could move in such a way that it lets them see out. And so that's a thing that you just sort of get into. It's like varying intensities, and it's some people just kind of like splash themselves with attention or whatever, or focus on particular objects. But with this, it gets pretty it's kind of hard to go much deeper with certain levels of awareness once you just get in. But there's differing degrees of getting in, right? So there's like you could splash yourself in the face with water. You could drink water. You could get into water to your like knees, up to your hips. You could get in. You could crouch down in 3 feet of water. You could dive into the ocean. You could hop into a river, right? And so there's varying levels of entering into or contacting what I'm talking about with radically different experiences of it. That it's like it's I mean, it very much is like a water or a fluid that people are not aware of that's connecting them. And so then imagine trying to describe an event made in water, like who did what where, right? Oh my God, that's incomprehensible, but not really. Like it's not really that incomprehensible. And so that's like pre-warm-up, I don't know. It probably gets pretty crazy if you actually put some time into it and get good at it. But at some point, if you do what I'm talking about and you get good at it, you just start going deep. And it's like, goodbye, like nobody's talking about that. So like anything that's like, even what I'm talking about, if it's even relatively comprehensible, we're still at like a pretty shallow thing. So it's like just splashing water on yourself compared to like what you could do. And so it does go places. And so like I'm a pretty good surface mover or consciousness swimmer. I don't personally, I don't go that deep. It scares the bejesus out of me. Maybe I'll change a little bit, but I'm a pretty indoor cat. Which I'm just risk averse. So I've almost died too many times, and I'm traumatized from it. So I'm chill. But this level of movement isn't all that flashy, and it never really gets there, because to do something too flashy, you do have to apply strength, and then that makes it so that you're not watching or you're not listening. Strength almost like transforms, it destroys being and awareness and changes it into control. Something like that, right? What do I know? I just... So you could very quickly, like, you could get really good at one level of like awareness, right? Like, oh, like maybe you feel the space, but then you could be squirrely and start, it's there as an object, just like the body's there as an object. Oh, this feeling awareness is there as an object. And then what's around that? So it's like you can start learning tricks with your attention, your focus. It's like, it's really similar to like balancing a plate on a stick. So like once you kind of see how the mind works, you see how you intuitively are doing things on this level. So it's like people's quote unquote magical abilities is only when they've learned how to feel their attention as an object, and you're doing something similar to balancing your attention, which is, it's just like developing a surface level trick. Like something that's like, oh, well, that's crazy, but it's like anybody could kind of do it. So when people figure out how to do stuff with their attention or their focus, it, at first, especially because it's kind of invisible, it comes off as like pretty crazy. But like ultimately, it's not that crazy once you figure it out, but it does impress like juvenile people or whatever. So like that's a lot of, I mean, it impresses everybody. Like it's cool. It's cool. And if they figured it out and you don't understand it, they obviously know something about the mind that you don't. Like people that can do weird things like that, they obviously like we all have these weird little understandings of the world that's as like unique as like different animals. But then it's like, that's when it can go into like, oh, I want to listen, or I want to hear more, like with my legs or with my hips, right? So after you kind of get the idea of like, okay, watchfulness. you figure out, how do I increase attention, or how do I increase blood flow to an area? That's what people are doing when they're doing exercise, right? So you go, the name of the game is like being, and that being has awareness. So the hand has being, and then the being has awareness. And then some parts of the being, like the vision, is like vision. Vision is just like being, it's just a very colorful being, just like your hand. When I say your hand, I mean like the hand that you see with your eyes open or closed. Like it's right there, you know it's right there. Even if you can't see your hand, you know it's right there. How do you know it's right there? You see it, right? Like that sight. You still see my hand even though I'm not looking at it. The vision isn't, it's no different than that. And so just like you can feel around your hand, you can start to feel, look around the vision, the objects, with the same right. So it's overwhelming. Like it's overwhelming. You have to shut it out. But anything that you can see, any perception. So here's my body perception, even the perception of your mind. Like what's my mind? Where is my mind? My mind contains this. Okay, so there it is. That's the object, my mind. Okay, radiate out awareness. The mind is being. Mind is being. Radiate out awareness from that being of mind. Right, so then the correct movement is that whole feel, right? It's like you're in solid space, it's all water, because even this, like right now, even this empty space here, I perceive it as an object. I've captured it as a concept object perception, the space, the air, radiate out. So an awareness coming from empty space, air, being it's a totalizing density. So the whole that whole reality of objects is suddenly like flooded and becomes like a reality of a medium of being awareness of what it is. Like it's the experience of what it is rather than the experience of the ideas that it presents. So it's weird. So then everything has to right. You can't talk about it too much past a certain point. Like what it really means to be a correct movement, and what it means to be a correct movement is like, did you do 25 push-ups? Like it's really, it's all about like an IQ of what's going on in the initial questions you like solve with your body, right? It's questions that you solve with your body. So it's like, how long do people stay on questions where like, you're like, oh, did I do it right? Well, what were you doing? I was doing 3 reps of 10. Oh yeah? Well, what happened? I was doing 3 sets of 10. And I had 2 sets of 10, and then on the 3rd set, I got tired, and I couldn't finish the set. I only did like 8, and so I did it wrong. I did the movement wrong, and so tried that again the next workout, and I got to 3 sets of 10, so I did the movement right. Cool, on to the next problem. So that's the level of intelligence that a lot of people build up in themselves when they're doing stuff. Like, oh, did I walk? What was my goal this week? Oh, I wanted to walk. I wanted to learn how to walk 3 miles. Did you get there? No. Okay, next week. Oh yeah, sorry, where was I? So when you're exercising, you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do to get, because if you want, you need more awareness. Like if your being doesn't have any awareness, if you like sense that you're there but you can't see out, right, that's a numbness. So you have to increase the feeling awareness, which basically you have to send blood flow and attention, because the body is what is doing all of this. So you have to somehow figure out how to increase the vitality of the body, which is to direct the heart towards it with particular hormones. You don't damage it and have it heal back better. It's not a good movement. So it's not an exercise mentality. It's literally retarded. Like the whole thing of like, oh, I'm gonna go in and the problems I'm gonna solve is like, oh, did I get to the correct number of reps at the correct number of weight? And that's my idea of doing the workout, right? Is that the level that I'm thinking at? And then am I thinking at the level of like, oh, I need to make light micro tears and like discharge acid into my veins from my lactic acid buildup? Like this is the theory that you think is going on. Like, oh, I have to damage my muscles. Like, oh. So that's retarded, but damage isn't what causes you to get bigger, faster, stronger, better. It's the perception and the body change morphology, which is done by the hormones in the blood and the metabolism. So when you're doing an exercise, you're trying to figure out how to get the blood and intensity of focus and energy and particular hormones. Like if I wanted to try and just, I don't know, I focus on my legs, and so you'll see, I feel the being and I feel the awareness, and I'm figuring out a way to kind of like just put more attention and pressure into it. Like if I did this with a group of guys, or if I was really focused. Anyway, like right on a team, and you're doing your little warm-ups and shit. You're just trying to bring attention and focus into your legs or into your feet. That's what is correct. If the movement is doing all of that, if the movement is causing the correct stimulation, and if you figure out how to get the effort, because if you try, there's something that goes on that you could start to get like a pump, or you feel more and more involved, more and more alive, more and more engaged down there. That's the blood and the energy going and waking everything up. So as it wakes up, then you get more being with more awareness, which ultimately is more control over the totality of the space. So somebody with big, like as you get your legs warmed up, as the being awareness, it's like warmed up legs gives you like a huge amount of space. And you'll notice your heart rate goes up, and you do what everyone says is a good workout. It like gets to that intensity that everyone knows is a good workout. And if you're crazy focused, you're getting up to like 180 beats per minute or whatever, and you're doing it dynamic, but you're ultimately just doing whatever it takes to feel what's going on down there, which is being moving through awareness. And so you're looking for that. You're looking for what is happening. And then there's exercises you can do that can get you to look a little bit harder at what's happening if you're becoming dull. But ideally, you remain this soft and supple and loose all the time. Like having to do crazy exercises like this is a really low state of understanding. And it's just, you just have to recognize it. And then after you're not falling out of it all the time, imagine staying all day in the heightened awareness that you get, peak, sporting effort. When people figure that out, that dynamism or that energy level, that's what moves you up and down in the different tiers of society or your sport. And so you can do hard movements that kind of like start to feel hard or get hard, but it's from a totally different place when you're using the movement to try and wake up or enliven an area. Because it's like, yeah, hard movement can definitely do this. Like what I'm talking about, and eventually you're going to be doing kind of all hard movements, but like I'm very specifically trying to get to the inside of my hips and all my legs at the same time. But, I mean, fundamentally, long story short, you're really in a situation where your being is in a situation that's way closer to being as if you were floating in water than it is how you're perceiving it as discrete, separate objects. Like when everyone has a mystical experience and goes, oh my gosh, we're all one or whatever. The stabilized perception of that you gain through nepsis, watchfulness, because it is that state of mind, being, awareness, like everything that it is being used to like look out. Especially the body, like that would be the base layer. Like what do I experience myself as being, right? Anything that you can feel. So that's that, and then that being looks out and in, or in any dimension that it can conceive, right? So this inward eye, the thing that you can see your hand with even when you can't see it, if you totally relax, you see your being, and then I think if you even you just keep totally relaxing and all that, you can probably go in these very weird directions of disillusionment, or like dissolving, likely. I wouldn't know. Something to contemplate. I don't know. Interesting idea if you're tracking, right? Just got tired. So yeah, that's my movement. 30-minute movement. Minute, half minute. 30-minute, half hour movement, special time. So yeah, you can feel anything without having to like be all like squirrely, but you know, it's kind of hard to replace the heartbeat elevation and the softening of work or exercise. But so there's that being, and then what you're looking for is the awareness, right, around the being. Right? I see my hand, I know it's there, my feeling awareness, I feel it there, and then I can feel around that feeling. Anything that I can perceive, I can look at the perception and start to feel around it. And it might be hard to get all of this all at once, but you can focus in on anything, like close your eyes, feel your hand, and that feeling right there, that feeling of the hand, there's hand there and nothing else there. And see it in your feeling awareness. See the feeling as discrete as an object. And then look with that object as if you have a hand in water. Look into the space around the perception of your hand. So the hand becomes a locus or a center point for a feeling out from that area, a feeling out, a looking out, a vision outward. It's no different than the eyes looking into a space. So that looking in that way opens a dimension perceptually. Just like opening the eyes opens a dimension. So the feeling awareness of your body, so it's like you can just like anybody can do it just right now with like your finger, you figure it out. And then once you figure it out, you can do it with more and more things all at once, or in more patterns. And you notice that that's what you're doing all the time. You're putting enough attention on something that dimension opens, you see through the base layer of skill. Or you were born there. A lot of people are just born in a particular area and you just figure it out. You don't have to worry about the stuff that I'm talking about. But what you're looking for with the nepsis, as far as I can tell, what I see, I don't know how you wouldn't see it, is like we're in we're in a medium that's as dense as our body is to the degree that we look for it. Because all this is and so then when you see that, it's like you just, I don't know, it seems like it seems to make sense to do cool exercises and stuff, like when you get bored. And makes the posture a little bit better. I don't know, I can't totally fix my phone there. But yeah, so that's lesson one for Kurt's 30 movement minute, 35-minute movement minutes. So just practice that for like, do like 8 reps of 12, and then do 3 minutes at max VO2. Okay.